Okay, everyone, thank you for joining us today. This is our first Engineer Your Career Wednesday panel. I'm so excited to have our guests here and to see all of our students in attendance. This session is going to be recorded. It's actually recording now. So this link will be sent out and it'll be provided also to the students who can't be in attendance today. Our lineup for today, we have a Westminster alum, Scott Wilson. I'm going left to right in my view on Zoom here. But Scott Wilson is an alum. Can I share the year?
I wish you would.
1974, history major. He's the CEO at SM Wilson and Company. Our next guest is Linda Moen. She's the owner of EFK Moen, which is a civil engineering design firm. And then last, we have Ashley Griffith, who is a recruiter at Missouri S&T. Now, they will not be going in that order, so I don't want to confuse you all. Linda will be going first here. If you have questions, please type them in the chat box. And at the end, after each one has their 15 minutes or so, at the end, I will share the questions with the panel and we can get some answers. So please don't be shy, type in those questions. Okay. Linda, feel free to go ahead.
Okay, happy to be here today. I always enjoy talking to students, especially if you haven't really decided on your engineering emphasis, because I really want to sell you on civil engineering, construction engineering, getting involved in your community and building things. I think that's what I think engineering is all about. I know there's a lot of different ways you can do engineering. My husband's an electrical engineer. That's a great career also. He's spent a lot of time in computers. Computer engineering is a great career, but civil is kind of the heavy lifting and the big visible stuff that you see when you drive down the road or walk through a city. So I like to try to sell that to people. So EFK Moen is a civil engineering design firm. We don't do any construction. We're all on the design side. We do surveying, field surveying. So we have quite a few professional land surveyors on staff and a lot of field crews that go out and help support the engineers with what we put in our base plans and in our drawings. So we've been in business since 1998. I'll start talking about my company and then I'll kind of back up and tell you why I chose civil engineering. And then I'll kind of walk you through what opportunities engineers have and how we use engineers in what we do. So EFK Moen is mostly in the St. Louis area, but we work all across Missouri. We also have 2 offices in Illinois. So we've got a Chicago office and a Fairview Heights, Illinois office. And we also have an Atlanta, Georgia office. So lots of really neat projects going on across the country. Infrastructure is starting to really boom right now. A lot of funding is geared that way. And EFK Moen has always been centered on DOT work. So Department of Transportation work. There's a Department of Transportation in every state, and they typically do the big highway interchange jobs, the bridges, the kind of big infrastructure work. And that's really what we specialize in. So I was trying to think of some projects that you might be familiar with that we have done in the area. So in Missouri, if you're familiar with Branson, from Hollister, which is just south of Branson, down to the Arkansas border, that was one of our very first projects in the late 90s, early 2000s. We were working in that area doing an 8-mile, I guess you call it add a lane, but it was making that 2-lane highway a 4-lane divided highway. So that's something that EFK Moen did. We did the design work in several different project stages, a lot of really neat construction going on, a lot of really neat outcroppings and rock work. And that was a really neat, groundbreaking job for a small firm like us. So you might be familiar with that if you ever head south of Branson. If you're more familiar with the St. Louis area, we do a lot of work in the St. Louis area. We did the I-270 Darty Ferry interchange. We just finished a project on I-70 at Highway K. There's actually several more pieces of that project going on, but that was taking the outer road system and making it one-way outer road couplets. And that's something St. Charles County really likes. They've been trying to progress that one-way outer road concept down I-70 to give their local people more access, so that they don't have to get on the interstate to travel through their community. So that's in O'Fallon, Missouri. We also did a lot of work downtown. And I think, some of the really big projects that you like to showcase are ones that are close to home. So downtown St. Louis, what we used to call the depressed section of I-70, we worked on that when it went under the City Arch River, the new bridge that goes from downtown to the Arch. We actually were on that project team also as a sub, but we primed the work on I-70 to change how you left I-70 to take the ramps into the city. We did some changes to those ramps so that it worked better with that whole City Arch River design. So that was one of our key projects. I forgot to put one on my list, but I just thought of the one in Springfield. If you've got people who go to Springfield, Missouri very often, we did the first diverging diamond that was designed by a consultant. So MoDOT designed their own diverging diamond. And then shortly after that, we designed a diverging diamond in Springfield on National Boulevard, and that was open in 2010, I think. So haven't been a lot of huge infrastructure projects going on in the state. A lot of the funding is more maintenance work. So we've been doing a lot of resurfacing jobs, a lot of ADA sidewalk work lately. And, we're seeing that across the whole country. So we're seeing Missouri doing tons of resurfacing and sidewalk jobs. Illinois is doing a ton of that. And we're even seeing that in Georgia. So those are the kinds of projects that civil engineering firms do. So if you're on the design side, you're putting the plans together. It's all computer-aided design now. You'd be sitting at a drafting table with multiple monitors and designing things sort of in 3 dimensions. We're just kind of getting where infrastructure is getting closer and closer to what I would call BIM. And we're doing things that the new software is called Open Roads. So you're kind of designing a 3-dimensional road. And that's kind of an exciting change. So if you're in any kind of engineering, you're constantly seeing change. And that's one of the software changes that we've seen real recently. So I'm going to back up a little bit and tell you how I got into civil engineering. I always liked numbers. Numbers were just something that made me happy. I liked, doing the simple math. I just really liked numbers. And if you're a kid that grows up liking numbers, people start pushing you towards engineering. And my dad was a civil engineer. And I was very blessed that he would take us kids out on his jobs and he would let us climb on the cofferdams and see what that was like to watch the construction. And that just always fascinated me. I thought that was about the coolest thing you could do, is have a job where you got to wear work boots and green jeans and play around on construction sites. So that's why I wanted to be an engineer. And then I realized that I would rather work inside. So I've been in design all of my career. I did have, good high school counselor support who, pushed me to take the physics and science classes and make sure I really liked it. And I did. I will admit that the harder math wasn't what I was very fond of. I liked what I call the easy math, the algebra and geometry and the things that we use every day in civil engineering. So that's kind of what I call my candy. If I'm going to be really happy, I'm sitting at my desk working figures. And if that's what you like, then you're going to love your career as an engineer. I went to Mizzou. I went there on purpose because I wanted to go to the big school. And I loved it. I absolutely loved the years that I spent at Mizzou. It was really hard work. If you're at Mizzou and you're across the hall from people in other majors, you're the one working really hard if you're the engineering student. So a lot of work, a lot of hard dedication. And I will admit, GPA, I did not have a 4.0 GPA, but I got through. I enjoyed the work. I think one of the neatest things was, I struggled through physics and calculus, but then in my second and third year of engineering classes, I was able to tutor it, because you really do keep building on those classes, and every class you take adds a little more of that to it. So I ended up graduating as a civil engineer from Mizzou. My dad had worked for MoDOT for about half of his career, so he encouraged me to apply there. And I worked at MoDOT for 13 years, and I loved every minute of that too. MoDOT is a great place to work. So I got exposed to design, to maintenance, to construction, to materials, to structures, all of the different aspects of what goes into civil engineering projects, maintaining systems and highways. And that was just really, really good experience. And, you know, a lot of neat boots on the ground experience that you get involved with when you work for an agency like MoDOT, where there's people in every aspect of civil engineering and you're working side by side with them every day. So at one point, I just decided that I really wanted to stay in engineering. I really wasn't interested in management and politics and policy and, you know, doing those kinds of roles at an agency like MoDOT. So I started a company, and I intended to be an engineer for the rest of my life and always just draw plans. And when I started, I was actually drawing plans, by the way. I've been doing this for 35 years. So that's why I now own EFK Moen, and it is a civil engineering design firm. We have about 54 people in 3 different states, 5 different offices, and we hire interns regularly every year. We didn't hire too many of them last year because it was such a weird remote environment, but we always like to have interns in the office. We think it really gives the students a chance to know, is this really the career I want? You know, sometimes we get somebody that comes in our office and enjoys the work, but realizes, you know, I'd rather have a job where I'm outside more, or I'd rather have a job where I'm doing a little bit different aspect of civil engineering and not what this company does, because we do highways and bridges. So we like having the interns get that experience so that they can tell us that after a summer, instead of, you know, we hired them full time and they realize in a couple of years that this isn't really what they want to do. So I think an internship is really valuable for you. You know, you should definitely try to get an internship. Some of the colleges are even requiring that now. As far as opportunities for what we're looking for, we're usually looking for somebody who's heading into their junior or senior year, mostly because they've probably figured out what aspect of engineering they're most interested in, and you know, there's a better fit than for us because we use interns like if they're engineers. They sit down at a desk and they work. So that's kind of what we're looking for, is somebody who's already kind of declared, hey, I'm really interested in civil and transportation, maybe they even know that that's their focus. So I think that's about my 15 minutes. If anybody's got any questions later, I will be happy to stick around and answer them.
Yes, I'm collecting questions. So again, for our participants, our listeners, please add your questions into the chat box, and I'm writing the list as we go here. Ashley, why don't you go ahead and talk about Missouri S&T?
Okay, and I will go ahead and share my screen with you all because I have a little bit of a presentation.
Hold on just a second, Ashley.
Okay.
Let me turn it on for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I should have probably said that beforehand. Okay.
It's okay, we got it. Good now.
All right. So hopefully you all can see now. Okay. All right. So as Mandy said, I'm Ashley Griffith. I am a transfer counselor here at Missouri S&T, and I am also an alumni of S&T. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I will stick around. And so you feel free to ask those. And there's our contact information, me and my coworker. You can always answer or ask any questions and email us at transfer@mst.edu. We strive to respond within 24 hours, so you should get a quick response. And for any students, if you could please just use this QR code or link below. That's so you can receive important updates from S&T. And this will be at the end of the slideshow. So if you want to take a few minutes and go ahead and fill that out, that's perfectly fine. That's so maybe you can ask questions, more in-depth questions about anything that I talk about today or anything like that. So how we rate. So we are ranked, very proud of our rankings. We ranked #1 university for salary potential in Missouri. We also ranked the 2nd best engineering college according to College Factual. And we're very proud of that ranking. We were beat by Olean University, I believe is how you pronounce it, in Massachusetts. But I mean, we beat other top-notch schools like MIT. We also ranked 8th in the nation for annual return on investment. As I'm sure you're aware, college is a huge investment, especially financially. And so in order to get that money back and more is really important and something that's unique to S&T, and it shows in our rankings and statistics. Here are our undergraduate degree programs in our College of Engineering and Computing. So anything that you're interested in with engineering, we probably have it. We offer unique programs, like we're only one of 2 universities in the nation to offer ceramic engineering. We're only one of 7 to offer metallurgical. Right now, mechanical engineering is our biggest department. And actually, the department, in the building, we have more labs than classrooms. So I think that shows that with all of, and not just with mechanical, but with all of our engineering programs, we are very hands-on oriented. So we want you not only to learn the information in the classroom, but to actually apply that in the real world. We offer, research opportunities, design teams that you can join, anything like that. And we also offer various emphasis areas. So for instance, with engineering management, if you're interested in marketing, you can have an emphasis area of that, and that can look good for employers to show kind of what you specialize in and what you're most interested in. We did receive recently a $10 million gift from a Missouri S&T alumni to our chemical and biochemical engineering department, which is the largest ever individual gift to an academic department at S&T in university history. And we also received a $300 million gift from Fred Kummer and his wife, June. This is the largest ever single gift in the history of Missouri higher education. So we're so proud of that. It establishes the Kummer Institute Foundation, and so newer areas for research and construction of new buildings. And we already started giving out scholarships due to this donation. And so you could possibly receive one of those. Our average starting salary for graduates from S&T make over $67,000. I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty good to me. And our average monthly salary is over $3,000 for co-op and internships. And in case you don't know the difference, an internship is generally about 3 months, so it's going to be during the summer. And then a co-op is going to be 8 months generally, so usually during the summer and then 1 semester. And so lots of students do this. They earn money while they're doing it. They use that paycheck to do whatever they want. They can use it to pay off student loans for that year. But it's great for experience for, recruiters and for employers. Part of our program, we do require students to have experiential learning. And if you go on a co-op or an internship, that will fulfill that graduation requirement. We have over 4,000 employers actively recruiting S&T. So they went on to work for Google, Amazon, Boeing, AT&T. As you can see from the picture, we do have a career fair that we offer each year. We do have the largest career fair in the Midwest. And so we have over 300 employers generally that come in. And sometimes we even have to tell employers that we don't have room for them. It is virtual. The past year it was virtual due to COVID. There were pros and cons. We didn't have to tell anyone that they couldn't come since it was virtual. But I know employers do enjoy that face-to-face interaction. So we're hoping to get back to that as soon as possible. And we do have our COER program, and that can help with mock interviews. When you can rent a suit for this day, or they can also help with your resume. We are a residential campus, and so generally students are required to live on campus for the first 2 years. With transfer students, it is a bit different. As long as you come in with 24 credit hours or you live within a 60-mile radius, you do not have to live on campus. But you do have various options if you do decide to live on campus. You could even live in Greek houses or our Christian campus houses. We're also a very involved campus, so we have over 250 student organizations. We have traditional things that you think of in high school, like honor clubs and stuff like that. We also have unique things such as the barbecue club and aerial swing dancing. Again, we have multiple design teams, diversity programs, service organizations, athletics, things of that nature. Again, with the hands-on experience, we do offer several different labs on campus. We have like an experimental mine, greenhouse, green roof, glass blowing lab. Students can use this. There's certain things that, can't be seen unless you're obviously like a mining major or something like that. But we do have like a haunted mine tradition that we do every year that the public and the community can come and walk through the haunted mine. So that's kind of a cool tradition that we have. And as long as you take one class for glass blowing, you can use the lab whenever you want. A lot of students take advantage of these labs and they really offer some good hands-on experience. These are just some, most of our design teams that we have on campus. I would say 1 in 4 or 5 students generally are involved in our design teams. They look really good for employers because you're starting from the ground up each year, such as for underwater robotics or human-powered vehicle. They have to build that and get the funding each year new. Any major can join. So for instance, for the rocket design team, you do not have to be an aerospace engineer in order to be a part of the program or the design team. And it looks really good, again, for employers. Specifically, our Mars rover team actually won the world championship in 2017. And you can see they're in an environment that is the competition was held where the environment is most closely like Mars. I believe it was in Arizona or New Mexico. Below, you can see our solar house. Those are built every 2 years just due to, the project and the time it takes. But generally they go to competition and then they come back to us in Rolla, Missouri, and students can actually live in these houses that are built by other students, and you can be a part of the research. It is like a lottery ticket system, so you're not, guaranteed to be able to live there. But in 2017, the competition was in Colorado, and the city of Denver enjoyed and liked our solar house so much that they actually bought it off of us. So we're very proud of that, and it's a very cool project. About 22% of our undergraduates participate in Greek life, which is a pretty good number. You're not going to feel left out if you don't join, but it's definitely a good opportunity. You can play in intramural sports, community service, leadership positions. And the Greek life is very reflective of our student body. So Greek life actually has a higher overall GPA than the average GPA of the student body. And so they offer, study groups with their frat house or Greek house. You can take a leadership position, which employers also like. For instance, if you're handling the budget of thousands of dollars, that's going to be kind of seen almost like an internship. And so that's a good opportunity to utilize also. We do offer several different athletics. We are Division II, again, part of the NCAA, and it is reflective, again, of the student body and very academically driven. And an interesting little thing is actually we did have a past football alumni who is now playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. I can't think of his name right now, but it's very cool. We did just receive, did just create and renovate our rec center. And so we have a new equipment, new swimming pool, fitness center, outdoor fields, things of that nature. As you can see, it looks all very brand new. There's lots of light and windows that are there. You can plug in your phone and watch Netflix while you're on the elliptical, which did not work out for me because I just sat and did not do any work. But it may work better for you, for kind of motivation. And again, this is all part of student fees. You do not have to pay extra for this. It's just a part of that. And we offer various support. So we offer academic advising center, for your semesters ahead. We offer professional counseling services for your mental health. Our IT desk is conveniently located in the library for any IT technical help that you need. We have a student diversity initiative, student health center. If you're ever sick, just pop onto the doctor and you can get some medication. Our student success center actually offers tutoring. So you can get one-on-one tutoring or group tutoring, and it is taught by a student who has already taken the class and received an A in it. So they kind of understand what you're going through. They've already taken the class. They also have coaching services. So if you need help with time management or anything like that, even free coffee they offer. So there's a lot of resources for, if you need help Writing Center with any of your writing needs, or the Student Veterans Resource Center. These are some of our numbers. So we had over 300 transfer students at S&T last year in 2020, with an average of a 3.24 average transfer GPA. We had over 1,000 enrolled, which makes up about 18% of our on-campus undergraduates. And for the cost, so our tuition and fees are over $12,000 for Missouri residents. Books and supplies account for generally about $700. I was a student, I can tell you, and I graduated recently, so I can tell you I never paid that much for books. Our professors are very financially cautious, and so they try to do their best to lower the cost for students, such as, you know, having online book options and whatnot. Housing and dining is over $10,000. Again, these are all estimates. It can be higher or lower. And this is all without scholarships coming into play. So that's going to automatically decrease your tuition amount. So the admission requirements, we do prefer a minimum of a 2.5 GPA. Your goal is to come in with 24 credit hours in order to, you know, have a good start with your education, and also just for scholarships to receive those merit-based scholarships. You can't come in with less than 24. I did, but you are going to need to send in those high school transcripts and ACT or SAT scores. You're going to apply at apply.mst.edu and submit your transcripts. Right now, we are taking unofficial transcripts and are making admission decisions based off of that. So they don't have to be official. And then if you are admitted, you will need to register for our transfer advising day, where you will be advised and work with your scheduling for the next upcoming semester. And then you can ask any questions at our information sessions. These are the merit-based scholarships I was briefly talked about. So these are an option and automatically awarded for students coming in with at least 24 credit hours. There's no additional application. Your amount's going to be determined by your GPA, and it is renewable for 4 semesters, so about 2 years, with the 3.0 GPA requirement. The deadline for the fall semester and summer is May 1st. For spring, it's going to be December 1st. And these are just the numbers showing that as a Missouri resident, how much you can receive. So you're going to receive anywhere from $500 to $3,000. Again, these are the merit-based, so you do have to have 24 credit hours. You all would be eligible for this scholarship. It's our Partner in Excellence Scholarship, which is exclusively for our transfer partner schools, which you are one of them. And again, the amount varies based off of your GPA, and to renew, it does require a 3.0 GPA. And we also offer the Phi Theta Kappa Scholarship. So all members qualify. You just have to state your membership whenever you apply. It's a one-time scholarship with no additional application. And if you're a Missouri resident, you can receive $1,000 or $2,000 if you're out of state. And the deadline to apply to receive the scholarship for the fall would be May 1st. We offer more scholarships on our database. And so you would just go to scholarships.mst.edu, and you're going to fill out about a 15 to 18 application. And then that's going to match you with scholarships that you can apply for, that you're recommended for. And that includes campus and departmental scholarships and awards, external scholarships, corporate awards, things of that nature. So we try to make it a really easy process for students. Most of the deadlines are February 1st for the fall semester, but we get new scholarships all the time updated. So I would recommend checking this website periodically. And we do have waves of different scholarships. So, you know, you may not make it on the first wave, February 1st, but we offer more scholarships at a later time. And again, here's some just more like Project Lead the Way, Boys and Girls State, athletic grants, things of that nature. I'm not going to dive too deep into the financial aid process. You can see our FAFSA code there, and you will have to submit your FAFSA in order to receive grants and loans, like the Pell Grant, the Access Missouri Scholarship, federal work study, university loans, and federal loans. And in case you don't know the difference, subsidized means that the government will pay your interest while you're in college for your loans, whereas unsubsidized means that the interest will accumulate while you're in college and you will have to pay that back. And so if you have any questions, again, you can ask during our Q&A session. And ask during the live chat, or you can use this QR code, fill out the information. That's so we can, give you any updates that we have with S&T, answer any questions that you have. If you have specific interests or, things in mind, you can always feel free to ask us. And you can also reach us Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. And always email. Again, if you're transfer, you'd probably want to use that transfer@mst.edu. And you can find us on social media. And again, thank you for allowing me to speak today. And I will be around to, answer any questions that you have.
Thanks, Ashley.
I will stop sharing. You're welcome.
Okay, Scott, you're up.
Well, after the first two speakers, now I'm asking myself, why am I here? Actually, I'm the entertainment version for this hour today. Some of you know, I'm CEO of SM Wilson and Company. It's a 100-year-old company this year. So Mandy thought maybe I started it, but I wasn't smart enough to start a company, but I was smart enough to fix one that was broken. And that's a little bit of the story. But I went to Westminster, which makes it even more fun because most of us, at least in my years, who went to Westminster, didn't go thinking we'd end up in technical fields. So I went to Westminster in 1970 because my mother went to William Woods back a million years before that. And she determined that one of her kids was going to go to Westminster, and that was me. But I wasn't a good student in high school. In fact, I wasn't a good student all the way through college either. I couldn't go to Westminster until I could prove that I could handle the coursework. So I had to go to summer school first. A bit of an embarrassment that I had to go to summer school, but I did. And so I got in, but I didn't do well, doggone it. My first semester, I failed 2 out of my 5 courses. So then after that, I got the father's speech about, do you want to go to Vietnam or do you want to stay in college? So, okay, I buckled down and I did well enough, got through college. Years later, when I came to Westminster and spoke with some of their board members about construction, then years after that, I got an Alumni Achievement Award. And I remember writing my speech, and my speech title was Lucky Breaks, because I was lucky to get into college. I was really fortunate that people took an interest in me when I was there. And I was lucky to get out. So I took a really unconventional path to where I am today. And I like to talk about it because it should make C students feel really good about who they are. We can succeed. We can succeed if we work hard. After, when I was in college, I took the GRE for graduate school, thinking, well, I don't think I can handle law school, and I stayed as far away from math as possible. So maybe I should just keep up with the history thing. So I took the GRE, but I didn't even apply. I took the summer off. I went to Houston and got a job as a laborer and worked for a company down there in the oil business. And then towards the end of the summer, I got concerned that what am I going to do? So since I didn't apply to college, but I sent my scores to Texas Tech. So I called Texas Tech on the phone and I asked to speak to the chairman of the Department of History. I introduced myself. Now remember, this was 1974, so no computers, no internet, no nothing. Introduced myself to the chairman and said, hey, I'm Scott, and can I come to school there? And he put me on hold, went and looked at my scores, came back and said, come on down. So I got in my car. I drove from Houston back to St. Louis, packed up my stuff, drove to Lubbock, Texas, and started graduate school. I had my thesis approved when I was there. My thesis topic was the history of inadvertent weather modification. They call that global warming today. So I feel now like I was really onto something. I didn't finish graduate school though. I went to Michigan and got a job working on a guy's golf course in the pro shop and on the grounds crew. And then I became the golf coach for the local high school. I didn't go back to college. I called my father and said, I don't want to go right now. And he said, well, you've worked pretty hard. Why don't you take a year off? And my whole life changed at that point. I also met a woman and wanted to get married. I couldn't do any of those things without a real job. So again, my father steps in and says, hey, I heard about a company in St. Louis. They just want to hire a college graduate. I flew down there, got the job in technical sales. So I spent 8 years under some really good mentors learning about the sales game. And the whole time I was in the sales game, I traveled the country, traveled the world towards the end. I really wanted to work at SM Wilson 3 times at least. In that 8 years, I asked my father, can I be in the construction business? And he said, no, you didn't go to law school like I wanted you to. You're not an engineer. We don't need you. And by the way, I did take the LSAT when I was at graduate school just for the heck of it. But again, didn't do anything with my scores. Eventually, I got a phone call to come to work to interview for a job competitively at SM Wilson. I got the job, probably for all the wrong reasons. I was the 3rd Wilson boy to come into that business. My boss couldn't stand me. It was an awful experience, but once I got there, I had to stay. You know, my last name, I'd look like a quitter otherwise. So I stuck it out. And in 1990, that business was in really bad shape. We had a negative net worth of $4 million. No bonding, no bid bond, no performance and payment bond. Those are really big deals in construction, and a line of credit that was frozen. And I went to my father and said, can I be president? And he said, I hate to make you captain of a sinking ship. And I said, I didn't poke the holes in the ship. You did that, but I want to try. And I would not have done that if it weren't for a number of other young people who worked at Wilson at the time, who said to me, look, if you don't try, we're sunk. You must try. So I became what I call a reluctant leader. I didn't train to be the president. I didn't train to lead anything. Although in hindsight, I think Westminster taught me a lot about leadership. Westminster and Phi Delta Theta together taught me more about leadership than I could have imagined at the time, but it stuck, and I carried it with me all those years. So I became president in 1990 of a company doing $26 million a year, and we were broke. But we took that business in 22 years from $26 million a year to $520 million. And created thousands of jobs for people. And in all of those 22 years, I've had these pinch me moments where I realized that I'm the luckiest history major ever, sitting on top of a construction company and actually doing a good job. But it wasn't about, I didn't train for it. It was about leadership. And which is the one thing I would like to bring to this conversation is that a lot of the people that we'll talk to today and who you are classically trained. And that's great. That makes maybe an easier entree into our fields. I was not classically trained. I wasn't classically trained even as a leader. But the things I picked up in college gave me the skills to sit down with a number of other people at SM Wilson and rebuild a broken business. by becoming everyone's cheerleader. And so what I brought to it and what I still bring to it, even though I'm very near retirement, is extreme candor and humor. Those two combined, along with a heavy dose of emotional intelligence. And if you can mush those guys together, you have a winning formula, and it works anywhere. It wouldn't have mattered if SM Wilson was a company that made bowling balls. I'd have become their president, and I'd have been who I am today, I believe, because I had the essentials to build a team and to hire people who were just like me, I think. And so now, who do we hire? We hire tons of civil engineers, architectural engineers, some structurals, some mechanicals, an occasional electrical, and a bunch of construction management degreed folks from SIU in Edwardsville, from Purdue, from Iowa, from Southeast and Southwest Missouri State, and anybody else that has a 4-year construction management program. Most of those programs, I think, have a business minor. And years ago, we used to hire civil engineers and train them to be contractors. Now we hire construction management degreed individuals who know a little bit about a lot, and we bolster that and teach them what we think they need to know, and we carry them forward. So I'm living proof that you can succeed if you just really try hard and leave your personality, leave your ego at home, and work with folks in your business and treat everybody the way you would like to be treated. You know, the things that made me successful and still do have to do with being honest with everybody every day about everything. And if you carry that with you, and everybody that you're in a meeting with knows that you intend to be honest and that you're humble and occasionally funny or clever, it's like having X-ray vision. People bend over backwards to work with you. And when they feel that, if the stuff that I'm trying to convey right now, if people feel it, they'll work with you. Or in my case, they'll buy from you. And the one thing that I'm most proud of is, again, my job was to sell construction. My biggest fear was somebody was going to ask me how you build something, and they don't. Mostly they just want to know about the services you provide. But I made a cold call one time years ago in Bentonville, Arkansas, to Walmart. And we'd never built any retail, but I ended up at Walmart. My boss said, stay away from there. So I went there. And I told this fellow at Walmart where we are and what we'd built, and none of which was anything like they were. Anyway, this fellow liked me, and he gave me a shot to put together a proposal to build a job, not on a hard bid basis, but on a negotiated basis, which is what we all live for in this business. And I wrote the proposal, every word of it, and I submitted it. And he called me up on a Friday afternoon and said, you really want this job? And I said, in the worst way. And he said, it's yours. So I scored a Walmart, what turned out to be the first supercenter in the nation, in Washington, Missouri, all by accident. Nobody knew what supercenters were. They didn't even call it a supercenter yet. So here's old Scott, history major from Westminster, walking in, telling these folks, I can be your builder, and not having the slightest idea if I could really, what do I know about the building business? But I knew a lot about the sales business. And anyway, they gave us that job, and that helped put SM Wilson on the map. It helped us recover from being very broke. Like I said, we took the company from a negative net worth of $4 million to $16 million net worth. And at that time, I thought, I'm going to start selling this business to the employees because I don't have children. I see some money on the table. I want some on my side of the ledger. And we began an ESOP program more than 10 years ago. And now the company is owned 100% by its employees. I serve at their leisure, and on April 1st, I'm leaving and never coming back. That's my career. I will have retired on April 1st, and I'm gonna call it a day. So end of story, and I'd be glad to answer anything.
Well, thank you all for sharing your stories with us. We do have quite a list, so I'm just going to go down this list, and there are some that are specific to individuals, but most of them are just general questions for everybody. So the first question, what characteristics does a person in this industry need to have? What are you looking for?
Who's going to answer that?
I think Linda was she raised her hand. I think she'll go first.
Linda.
It's the year of the ox, the perfect year for engineers. So honesty and hardworking is probably the biggest one. But I think I started my session off with, you've got to like numbers, you really do. And even in Scott's position where he's not doing the actual construction, everything about a business is numbers and everything about engineering is numbers. So, you know, if you like that, you're going to enjoy the job. And we look for that.
In our business, you know, most people, like I think I mentioned, besides salespeople and accounting, we look for a 4-year degree in some allied discipline, structural, mechanical, electrical, construction management. So that's our starting point. Of all the years that I interviewed people, what I looked for was a certain amount of playfulness, because, you know, all the other stuff we can teach you, but when you're building a company and you're at the tippity top and you have a chance to actually choose who might get to work there, what I found out over the years is you end up choosing a whole lot of people that you just like. And after a while, it's about as much fun as you can imagine coming to work every day when you really enjoy people every single day, all day, every day. So we look for playfulness and humor. And we take your education for granted, but if you can bring a couple extra things like that. And then I tell people here all the time, initially, if you just keep your head down, your mouth shut, and you work 12 hours a day, great things will happen to you. It sounds a little harsh, but when your first jobs are hard, and everybody's impatient, but just you know, put in your 8 hours or your 10 hours and watch and listen and work hard, and good things will happen.
What advice would you, actually, hold on, I'm combining a few questions here. This is kind of a 3-part question, so keep up with me. And it kind of pertains to our students here, our undergraduate students. What's the main criteria that you use when reviewing internship applications specifically? Especially considering that our dual degree engineering program is a minor program, it's not ABET accredited. Also, second part, for the students in this pre-engineering program, what tips do you have for them in finding an internship? Because it is difficult to find opportunities without being in an engineering ABET accredited program. So are there other types of internships that would be good experiences for these students if they can't find that goal internship within an engineering firm? The third part is just, what advice do you have for our students, these young adults considering a career in engineering?
Linda, you look like you want to answer that first.
I always want to answer questions. So our criteria would be something on the letter, the contact, the email, the resume that says they are interested in what we do. You know, so if they've looked at our website and they see we do highways and bridges and they say, hey, I've taken some classes and I'm really interested in highways and bridges, you know, we're going to probably pick those people first. I think, you know, we've had good luck with any graduates. We just really have had good luck with engineering programs in general. If somebody likes engineering enough to go to school for it and get that degree, they're probably going to be a good fit for us. So, you know, we're really looking for other things, like Scott said. You know, we can pick who we think is the best fit for our company, who seems to get along the best, who seems to be eager to do the kinds of things that we do. So if they come in and say, I've really got a love of environmental, I love that too, but that's not what EFK Moen does. So, you know, we probably wouldn't pick them for our internship. And I understand that, you know, we probably would be waiting till you're a junior or senior before we would choose you. You know, this year we just had tons of internship applications. In past years, if we didn't have that many intern applications, you know, you might get selected to be one of our interns, even though you're not in your junior or senior year. But if we've got an abundance of them, that's what we lean towards. Every city and county and MoDOT and, you know, all of those agencies hire interns. So every city, county, you know, agency has public works, has related stuff. If you can find somebody, you know, just toss your emails around to whatever's close by your home, wherever you're going to be for the summer, and try to find somebody, you know. Like I said, when I worked at MoDOT, maintenance was a really good learning experience. You might not want to do it your whole career, but to spend a summer doing that, you're going to learn a lot about engineering, about community development, about all kinds of interesting things. So I would say kind of lean towards those public agency, city, county jobs if you can't find something that's directly in engineering per se. And then advice, you know, really, really, really find something that you love to do, because it is hard work and you're going to do it for a long time, and you need to really love whatever career you pick.
You know, I'd say on the internship side, start early. Well, sometimes people really qualified, they contact us too late. The other thing, there's no shame in working every contact you can find. So if your parents or your aunts and uncles know people who are in the business, use those contacts. We have all kinds of people who have gotten in here. They come in through the back door kind of because they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. Go that route and pull every string you can. We also look for your extracurricular activities, things maybe outside of just what you've done in school as a tiebreaker. Maybe some people have worked the summers or part-time for other construction companies or concrete companies, you name it. Those are helpful things. So my advice is start early and just keep hammering.
I forget I'm muted every time. What software design tools should entry-level engineers be familiar with? And should our students be familiar with these at an intern level also?
Boy, Linda, I'll say something first, but I should know, and I don't have the slightest idea what to suggest in terms of software coming to here. I really don't. So I'm a little embarrassed, but not entirely.
Don't be embarrassed at all. It changes so fast. Every year it's a new name.
It changes so fast.
Yeah. So I will say that we haven't seen a student coming out of college that can't run circles around most of us on computer software. So if they don't have a lot of experience with software, we're really not that concerned. Almost everyone's had some AutoCAD in school. if you've got a little bit of an idea of AutoCAD and how to make your way through something in AutoCAD, you can pick up what we use pretty easily. So we use AutoCAD, but mostly we use MicroStation, and I would say MicroStation GeoPack, but now that's all been lumped into something new called Open Roads. And Open Roads Designer is kind of a three-dimensional BIM version of what we used to do, our old drafting CAD. So, you know, MicroStation is very similar to AutoCAD. Of course, Excel spreadsheets, you know, anything they know about Excel spreadsheets is going to serve them well in a job. But that's, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But we have had high school students. We've got a program here in the St. Louis area where they place high school students for a couple weeks in our business. And we found that they can pick up a MicroStation student license and play with that before they come in. You know, if somebody wants to, just so they feel a little more comfortable before they come in, you might try something like that. But MicroStation doesn't tend to be very friendly on the academic side, meaning they don't make their product value priced enough for the colleges to use it, I guess, because almost no college teaches MicroStation. Does that help at all?
Yes, thank you. Scott, given your personal experience, what would you and your company weigh the most when hiring young people? I mean, you mentioned earlier really just playfulness and humor, but do you all look for specific coursework? These students have taken specific types of jobs or internships?
You know, outside experience we look at, GPA we look at. I don't know, if you bring the right kind of personality, I think that trumps everything. It really does. And I see young people here all the time. When I see a young person who's outgoing, who grabs my hand and shakes it hard and looks me in the eye, those are big things. And those are things that leaders do. Sometimes people are nervous and, you know, they look down at the ground or they look any place but in your eyeball. So I look for the things that are less about the coursework and more about the person. Because again, we'll round you out with all the technical skills necessary to be a good builder. But if we're starting with that great, warm, outgoing personality, we can take that person a long way. And I'll tell you, over all the years here, the interns we've hired are the new project managers. Interns become PMs, but some have gone on in the St. Louis area to become great leaders in their own right. And I'm real proud that they started their careers here. So we knew what we were looking for at the time. I got over the fact that some people aren't going to be as happy as I'd like them to be, and they're going to go seek opportunities in other places. It's not an insult. It's just the way of the world. Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's opportunity. We should encourage people to better their careers as often as they can. So again, an outgoing personality in construction is priceless.
Ashley, I know we're at 1 o'clock. So students, if you have a 1 o'clock class, feel free to leave. Again, I'm recording this and I'll send the link out to everybody. But if you can stay, please stay, because we have a few questions for Ashley and then one final question for Linda and Ashley together. So Ashley, are Westminster students able to attend the virtual career fairs since we have a dual degree agreement?
I would have to check into that and see. I started this position pretty recently, and so I'm not for sure how they're doing that. I know it's virtual again this year, but I mean because usually our spring one is the bigger one. And so I already think that's this week or next week that the career fair is happening. I don't know if they are. I know maybe if you all were, because we're part of the MU system, like part of Mizzou and SOL and things. So I know sometimes we have worked out where other students from like Mizzou can attend, I think, although I'm not sure about Westminster. I can go ahead and I don't know if you want to, I can try to find out and you can give me contact information, or I can just let you know and you can maybe let the student know. But I can look into that first and find out pretty soon.
Yeah, that would be great. I know we have had, our career services office has been able to get our students access to a couple of the other Mizzou career fairs. Thought we'd ask. So Ashley, for the few types of engineering that may take more than 4 semesters to finish, are there still so-called cross the finish line scholarships for the 5th semester to get them through to the end?
So I think financial aid will work that out with you, because most of our students, they are, the degrees can last longer, whether it be because they're doing a co-op, which is pushing, their graduation date by a semester. I know when they do go on co-ops and internships, the scholarships kind of freeze. And so they won't be using their money, scholarship money, while they're interning or on a co-op. Most of our students do co-ops and internships. And so we're very flexible with working around that. I know though that like some of our transfer merit, again, they're only good for about 4 semesters. But I think you can work out something with financial aid in order to, receive more help if you need it. I know my sister did when she attended Missouri S&T, and so did I, because it took a little bit longer to graduate than 4 years for me. And so that would probably be a good financial aid question, but I can go ahead and just group that in with the question that about the career fair.
Yeah, that would be great. Ashley, a couple more for you. How soon should students start thinking about what dual degree program they would like to transition into, whether it's Missouri S&T or WashU or any other program? How far in advance should they be reaching out for admissions information and gathering all of the details that they need?
I would say probably about a year would be good. The sooner the better. If you already know where you want to go and what exactly degree you want to do, that's best. Things change though, what your interests are maybe or something. But I would say about a year, just to give you enough time, to give you plenty of time, and you're not time crunched and missing, scholarship deadlines and things like that. Again, for the fall semester, our scholarships, a lot of them on the scholarship database already ended. The priority deadline was February 1st. So, that's months ahead of when you would be attending Missouri S&T and being a part of our program. And so I would say probably about, anywhere from 8 months to probably about a year ahead, just to give you, some time, which we can work with you if it's, you decide last minute or something like that. It's definitely an option. You just may not have as many scholarship opportunities as you would have if you would have started earlier.
Okay. Ashley, last one for you. Are there engineering specific career counselors available at Missouri S&T, or is there just a general career office that all students utilize?
It's general, so all students can utilize it. Although since our population is they're highly made up of engineers, I would say it's probably more engineer oriented. I was a history major, and I did receive help for my resume from them, but most of their students are engineers, and so that's mainly who they help. So while it's not maybe, entirely specific to engineers, our program, I would say that it's very focused on engineers, and that's who they help, more often than not.
So they really would be well-versed.
Yes, they will be well-versed.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, and the final question for Linda and Ashley, and actually, Scott, if you want to respond, feel free. What is the female representation in the engineering industry like? Linda, specifically, what was it like starting your own engineering firm as a female?
You can't see me because, you're we're remote, but I'm very short. So sometimes I blame my size more on this than the fact that I'm a woman, but I have been patted on the head and assumed I was the receptionist and, all that kind of stuff for a long, long time. So um, don't let that be a barrier. I mean, it could be something else that creates that, weird first impression for you. So, if you're a woman, don't worry about that at all. Women are very welcome in our industry. Women do very well in our industry. Our company has about 30% women. I think that might be because we are woman owned that, people kind of think they will be comfortable. So maybe that's why we attract more women applicants. But in general, I'm seeing 10 or 15% in the colleges are women. And we're trying to, get into the schools, especially the high schools, faster to say, hey, we know you guys are all in those math classes. Why aren't you going into engineering? We really don't understand it. Who's telling you this isn't a woman-friendly career? It definitely is a woman-friendly career. I mean, Scott Amy Berg does great, right? I mean, women do just fine in our industry. My dad grew up in the industry too, and he was a little leery of having me out in the field, out with some of the good old boys that might not know how to talk nicely. I never had a problem saying, hey, you don't have to do that. Hey, that's not appropriate. That's all you have to do. And that's not necessarily because you're a woman. So I really don't think you need to worry about barriers being a woman in the field, but you do need to be able to stand up for yourself and to understand what's appropriate and what's not. So I think it's really expanding. I think women are really getting into our industry more and more and realizing it is a good career. I remember when I was first in engineering, it was kind of understood that when you started to have a family, you were probably going to quit, and you got those kind of questions a lot. Every woman I know in engineering has found a way to make it work. Maybe they go part-time for a few years. Maybe they just have a good family situation where they can work full-time. There's really no difference in the engineering field than there is in any career for a woman to make it through with all the life choices she's going to make. So I think I expanded on that more than you really wanted. You just wanted to know percentage. So yeah, there should be more, but right now, especially in civil, I think it's a little lower than in some of the others.
Women and minorities both.
Yeah.
I would say right now there's enough of a premium on women and minorities that it would create its own edge. There is demand.
Yeah, but Scott, it's been that way for 35 years and we're not increasing in numbers. I'm not really sure I understand that, because I agree. I mean, if you were a woman engineer, you were getting snapped up when I was in school, but the percentages on campus have not changed.
Well, and it starts in grade school. Somewhere along the line, young people, girls in that case, are told or convinced that what we do isn't for them. And we need to do a better job in the lower grades, showing children what our careers are all about.
Yeah, and I try to do that because, like I said, I am a very short woman. So, I don't know how many students I've had say, wow, if you can do this, I can do this. So I try to advertise that to them.
Yeah, I definitely think, our ratio on campus, we do have more male students than female students. Although we've seen our numbers increase for female students in our STEM programs. So I think that is looking promising. We are taking steps in general in education, I think, to kind of introduce, students, especially females, that they can be a part of STEM, be STEM oriented and succeed. I know we have an education program at S&T that I was a part of, and we are definitely pushing more STEM programs in early education, both in middle school and elementary school. So I do think that proportion is it's promising that it's gonna be a bit bit more numbers with females in, in our engineering programs. On the bright side, and kind of off subject, I did find out the information. You cannot attend our career fair until you are actually enrolled as an S&T student. Just because you are part of the program, but you can also choose to go to other schools. So you're not necessarily, an S&T student yet. And for the scholarships, for at least the transfer merit scholarships, such as Partners in Excellence, which you all would be eligible for, it is only for 4 semesters, so 2 years. But we do have a finish line scholarship that are intended for people close to graduation. So you can apply for those on that scholarship database that I mentioned, scholarships.mst.edu. And they can certainly try to, find out options because we want you to graduate and to succeed. So we will try to find any way possible to kind of help you cross that finish line and to help with that.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. That was very quick.
Yeah, I try to hurry up and find an answer because I know it's important. So.
Well, we are 12 minutes past 1, so I do apologize, but I think we've had a great conversation. Thank you, all 3 of you, for participating in our first panel series. Linda, for our participants, our listeners, Linda will be back in March as not CEO of EFK Moen, but as a Mizzou grad talking about the Mizzou engineering program. So March 17th, mark your calendars. It's also on the MyWC campus calendar for March and April. So make sure you attend both of those sessions. We'll have new panelists with us. And again, this is recorded, so I will send a link out to everyone so you can watch this at your leisure later on. I've been typing responses while they are not complete sentences the whole way through, but I have been typing out the responses to all of our questions. So I will send that out as well with the recording link. So thank you very much for attending, and students, we will see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you all.